Let's get right into it. It's Monday, April 29th, 2019. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. I'm going to change this. It was recording on the wrong audio channel.
Bum, bum, bum.
Because I was editing a bunch of video and I didn't want to have the mixer on the whole time, so I changed it to use my onboard sound card. And Adobe is actually not that smart about that. Boop, boop, doo.
Adobe.
All right, we'll do this again. Then we're good to go.
Adobe. 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 Adava.
Not quite a Nobunga.
Adobe. Adobe.
Or a Githzerai, which came up in the painful pages.
I forget what all those.
As opposed to Githrazi, Githyanki, and Githzerai, not Githrazi.
I remember that those are the names of races, but I forget everything about them.
They came up in our Freeport game, I think.
Yeah, but I forget everything about them.
One of them is bad, and one of them is also bad, but in a different way.
I just Googled to remember what they look like.
Yeah, they're kind of
But they're not the bug ones, right? The bug ones.
No, Thri-Kreen are the bug ones.
Okay.
And those are from Dark Sun, which is also cut off from Planescape, just like Ravenloft. Dark Sun and unless things change, Dark Sun and Ravenloft are both like outside of the normal cosmology. Can't get there from here. All right. It's Monday, April 29th, 2019. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights tonight. Phishing with a PH, not the band.
You just take my joke.
I did take your joke. It's mine now. Only the 0 people currently watching the stream will.
The correct number of people are watching the stream. The lesson has been learned. My work here is done. Excellent.
Of course, I did just tweet like 30 seconds ago.
No. Hopefully those people blocked you on Twitter.
So I was randomly looking at my YouTube channel because I was uploading a bunch more of the videos that are just the reviews of board games we do without like the rest of the episode around them.
Does anyone watch that?
Yeah. They all get hundreds of views, and I get a lot of likes within Board Game Geek because that's where I post them all.
Okay.
I think it's good because sometimes we have like a 10-minute review of a game that's at the end of a 50-minute episode of Geek Nights. So it actually is working out pretty well, and it does not take a lot of work. But when I was looking at my YouTube channel, I don't look at the analytics that often. Like once a month, I check in on it, and I noticed.
I look at it never.
I noticed that I
have no idea. If I had like 1 million subscribers, I'd only find out when like the silver thing showed up.
So I noticed that I had 6,999 subscribers.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I should get a screenshot because that'll be funny. And then I got distracted. I finished something. I went to take a screenshot. It went up. It's like 7,020 now. It's already passed.
Dun, dun, dun.
I guess I could Photoshop it, but that defeats the purpose.
You could just use the web inspector to change the number and then...
Oh, yeah. Or I could block enough people from my channel to get it back down to 6,999.
I could just take screenshots with the web inspector to act like I had a bajillion views and then try to get someone to give me money.
No.
And become fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
Like the people who buy followers or whatever.
The analytics on the channel are actually pretty interesting if you actually look at them because you do get a lot of stats
All white
around.
Dudes watching.
Yeah. But you also, the thing you get that's real interesting is you can find out what videos people are watching where they're like, what? Fuck this. And they unsubscribe. And also you can find out like what video is someone watching and they're like, maybe I like this channel a little bit. We had more people unsubscribe from our Real Harm of Games
We should figure
panel.
out what videos are watched most by non-white, non-straight, non-dudes and make more videos like those.
We could try stuff like that.
We could do it. We could treat ourselves like we're the machine learning thing.
No.
Right? And we just choose. Right, rather than most people who are like going towards following the money or following, right, we follow a different metric for success.
One thing I can say is that I'll see if it changed right now, but if we look at traffic sources, most people watch our channel because they're browsing YouTube and they just see one of our videos recommended and they click on it.
All right.
That is like 90% of our views.
Okay.
And then the rest are YouTube searches, and the YouTube searches are almost entirely for in order: board game design, Tigris and Euphrates board game, rare game mechanics, game theory, game design, game mechanics, Puerto Rico board game, Carcassonne strategy,
Board gaming is big these days.
Rim de Coster,
Okay.
making board game, diplomacy board game, board games, board game, game balance, how to make a board game.
Are all these like one search each now?
Nope, they're all hundreds and hundreds.
Okay.
It's really funny. But Rim de Coster is like there in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay, whatever.
So what do you got news-wise? It's Monday.
So I do have some news. So check it out. This is relevant. This is how we thought of our main bit, by the way. So someone has found a new and interesting way to phish people using mobile browsers. They developed the proof of concept, which is they only did the work to prove it for Chrome on iOS or only one.
Yeah.
But you could easily take what they did and replicate it. So
it's a really clever escalation of like phishing technique.
Right. So here's the deal, right? Let's say you're going to go on your phone, right? When you open the web browser, you know how you scroll down and you really want to save screen space. So
yeah, not that many P.
Right. So what they do on your phone when you scroll down on a web page is they make the location bar go away, right?
Which makes sense.
Right, it makes sense. So what he did, this guy, is he says, all right, I program my website such that when you scroll down a bunch and the location bar goes away, so the first time you load the page, the real location bar is there with the real URL in it.
Yep, with the HTTPS, and it's like, yep, you are at your bank's website.
But when you scroll down far enough, the real location bar goes away. He takes an image of a fake location bar and makes it appear, and it says like Chase.com or HSBC.com or BankOfAmerica.com right? He basically just took a screenshot of the bank location bar on the bank's website, right?
Yep.
And just put it at the top. So now it looks like you're officially green lock on this the bank's website, but you're on this other person's website. If the website also looked like the bank's website, then they could fool you into now, presumably with like a link in an email. You click the link in the email, you land on this website. It looks real. You scroll down, the location bar changes. If you don't notice the location bar was fake and had the wrong URL in it at the start, maybe it was a really close URL using like some Unicode shenanigans, right? Then it's going to look like you're really on your bank's website for real, like totally trustworthy, and then you type in your username and password, and then you lose all your money.
Yep.
All right.
So now it's one of those things where like phones, just the way they're used, are very limited, and there's a lot of differences compared to a real computer. So like you can't hover over a URL to just like really quickly see where does it really go.
Yep.
Like, things like this disappears. You never have the top bar disappear in a real web browser on a real device.
Right. The way to take this even further would be to not just use a screenshot of the location bar, but to program a fake location bar that can be used to programmatically detect what browser the person is using to show them a location bar that matches their browser, right? Like if I'm using Chrome on iOS, okay, we got to show this fake, location bar style, right?
Yep.
You'd have to go pretty far to make it really convincing, but
Ooh, it goes even worse. It's actually worse than I thought. It says that normally when you scroll up, you get the real bar back.
No, you can never get the real bar back unless you reload.
Yep, because they put you in a scroll jail.
Yep, scroll jail.
With an element that just prevents it. Let's see, overflow : scroll. The user thinks they're scrolling up the page, but in fact, they're only scrolling up in the scroll jail. I can see how you can pull that off.
Yep.
This is pretty big because a lot of people only have a phone or a tablet as their computing device. Like, they don't have a computer.
Right. Now, it's less of a big deal because, if I'm using my phone, I would never do anything secure login in the browser on my phone. I would always use the app, right? And if you're using iOS, at least, you can trust the app that came from the App Store for the real App Store. Right?
Yeah. If you downloaded the wrong app, you're already hosed.
Right. But iOS, the Apple won't let not the real app in the App Store, right?
Yep.
Whereas Android might. Google Play, you can't trust it. But Apple, you can more trust it, mostly, right? So if I get the Chase app, I can trust it's as secure as the Chase website on a secure, brand new, good computer with a secure internet, right?
I guess the moral is, on a phone, trust apps like you would a TLS certificate, and just use your web browser for things that don't matter.
Right. Anything secure you do on your phone, you should be using an app. Don't trust the browser on the phone, not just because of this, but just in general. Why are you using the browser when an app is available on your phone?
Yep. I mean, I tried to think of, what do I actually go to on a browser on my phone? And it literally is the GeekNights forum,
Yep.
FARC, Google News. There's like nothing
There's
else
a Google
in my
News
history.
app.
Yeah, I don't use it.
Yeah, but you're still logged. They could log into your Gmail with that.
Yeah, if they trick me into clicking on some
There
sort
used
of...
to be more things that I use the browser for on the phone because there weren't apps for everything. But it's been so long. It's been like 12 years since I had iPhones. And
actually, I don't even go to Google News that often because I also pay for Waypo. So usually I just open the Waypo app.
Anyway, but yeah, it's like, it's been like 12-something years since I had iPhone. So the apps exist now, right? Google Calendar used to not have an app. I'd have to like go to Google Calendar on the web. Now there's a really good Google Calendar app, right?
Yep.
So everything's pretty good.
So, in some other app-related news, there's a lot of apps, especially in the iPhone store, that are designed to either help you curb your addiction to your own phone or control how much time your kids spend messing with the phone.
Right. Now, Apple in iOS includes lots of functionality, and including in the newest version, they've added a lot of functionality for the curbing your addiction. I keep getting notifications like your screen time's up, your screen time's down, you spent this much screen. I can look and see exactly how much time I spent in each app. It's all built into iOS. And Apple's always had parental controls ever since like the first iPhone, and they've only gotten more advanced. But for some people, those controls might not be enough, and Apple has always allowed and always supported people making other parental control apps or other screen time management apps and putting them in the App Store as long as they follow all the App Store rules. We're not going to talk about the general App Store rules deal again.
Yeah.
Right? We're only talking about this specific thing. And what happened is that some of the apps, right, were given notices like, hey, your app is not in compliance with these rules. If you don't fix your app in 30 days, we're going to kick you out of the App Store. And some apps fixed their shit, and some apps did not fix their shit, and they got kicked out, and now they're complaining.
Yep. And it seems like the crux of it is the apps that are targeted specifically at children and controlling children's access to things, probably because children being online is heavily regulated both in the U.S. and in Europe.
Right. But I think the main technological thing here that Apple is upset about is the use of MDM, which stands for mobile device management, right? So basically, much in the way that like when you install an antivirus software on your computer, right? The antivirus software, in order to clean out viruses and prevent viruses and other malwares, that antivirus software needs a lot of permissions, and it needs to do lots of things to detect viruses that are otherwise not acceptable for other software to do, because, right? It's much in the way to fight a cheater, you need to be a cheater.
Yep.
How can I find a rootkit if I can't be even lower level CPU access than the rootkit, right? How can I clean out the virus from these OS files if I don't have permission to read and write all your OS files?
Yep.
Right? So much in the same way to implement a lot of the parental control features, right? Like spying on what websites you're going to, spying on how much time different apps are open, seeing what's on the screen. I'm your parent. I want to see what you're doing right now to see if it's porn without coming up and looking behind you so I'm looking, right? Make your phone turn off and you can't turn it back on. Lock your phone. Make sure you can't unlock it. See where the phone is. All these sorts, see what the camera on the phone sees remotely. These are all major things that would normally be major security flaws, cannot allow major permissions problems.
Yep.
But in order for these parental controls to work, you sort of have to allow these things. And Apple's like, no, that's unsecure as hell, really bad. We can't allow apps to be doing this stuff.
I don't trust apps like that in general.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of app that I would make if I was going to try to compromise your phone.
Right. Notice you don't put antivirus stuff on our computer either.
Yep, because antivirus software doesn't work or is a scam in most cases. Just use the Windows one, it's fine.
Or don't use anything.
The Windows one is fine.
Whatever. The point is, the Apple parental controls, aren't those enough for you? Really?
So the article, I picked a random article about this.
Right, the Apple feature they just added for managing your screen time, that's really not enough for you?
So I picked a random article about this, and it seems like the people who are mad are mostly parents who don't understand how to use the Apple one and want extremely fine-grained control of how their children
Here's your
use.
extremely fine-grained control. Don't give your kid a phone unsupervised. Done.
Or give your kid a phone and be a good parent.
Yep. Why do you have a kid that wants to go look at, murder porn? Or ultra porn?
Well, what about the kids who are just being recruited by white supremacists because they went to the wrong YouTube video?
Why did you raise a kid who wants to go look at white supremacists and
they get tricked in?
Why did you raise your kid not to be able to recognize Nazis?
Well, one thing
I could recognize Nazis when I was a kid.
I guess one thing I can say that's different between when we were kids and today is that when we were kids, most kids did not have access to the internet at all.
True.
And the people who did tended to be pretty technologically savvy, or they couldn't make it work.
Also true.
And we tended to have unsupervised access, but most of the stuff on the internet was made by other people like us.
Also true.
Now there's Nazis like actively trying to sneak in and trick people.
Also true.
So it is a different world. Like I don't want us to fall to survivor bias of I had unrestricted access to the internet. I'm fine because when I got it
was a different internet. You understand?
It was a different internet
in 1997 or 98.
Dude, it is hard to express to some of your younger listeners how different the internet was in 1997.
But my Nazi detecting skills.
Yes.
Possibly because I was raised among Jewish people. Maybe everyone should be raised among Jewish people. But that would solve a lot of problems.
But I will say, I get the impression that most of the apps that were shut down, this is probably fine. And the people who are mad about this are a vocal minority who want very specific niche things.
They're a vocal minority who made the apps that got shut down.
Yeah. They probably found some parents who were mad that the app got shut down and got them to quote or something.
They pretended to be their own customers.
Yeah. So in some other news that you probably should be paying attention to, like it or not, the measles epidemic in the United States is actually growing rapidly and is a big fucking problem.
If you got measles, stay the hell away from me and anyone I know.
Yeah, because I got vaccinated, but
in fact, if you got the measles and whether it was because you were bad or maybe it's because you were good and it just happened because other people were bad, you should go find bad people and hang out near them. Yeah, at least make the most of it.
There are confirmed at least over 700 cases across 22 states now. This is getting to the point to where it is a big
Why
deal.
is there no class action lawsuit amongst the people who got measles, who were vaccinated or couldn't be vaccinated against anti-vax people? Just sue them in the ground.
Well, most of the people who are getting measles are themselves not vaccinated because their families are anti-vax.
All right, well, they don't have to sue themselves because they'll just be horribly...
Yep.
They got measles. They already got the consequences.
So the biggest outbreak continues to be
parents.
In New York City.
Yep.
In Brooklyn, in one particular community.
We talked about this already.
Yep. And the city has actually, we talked about like the city was doing, they're escalating it. There are like straight up mandatory vaccination orders in New York City now, which I think is absolutely justified. And they should be pursuing this much more aggressively than they have been up to this point.
I would have no moral problem with just physically detaining people and injecting them.
I'd be okay with making sure a doctor sort of like, if maybe the kid's allergic to the vaccine.
Obviously, a doctor would be doing the injecting.
I'm just saying.
Not like cops. They'd probably inject it in your eye. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Child died injected with the measles vaccine 70 times in the back.
Right. Yeah.
Cops said they found a measles on him.
The cops can just do...
Yeah, we found...
No, the cops aren't going to do the holding part.
We found
Let the firemen do the holding part.
We found measles in his pocket. It was self-defense.
The firemen will do the holding and the doctor will do the injecting.
Yeah. If there's any advice I can give you
Maybe
in terms of...
I guess EMTs can do it.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
In order... The people you should trust with your life, in terms of like first responders. Number 1, firemen. Number 2, EMTs.
They're about the same.
Numbers 3 through 99, various other bystanders. Number 100, the police.
Someone's assaulting me. It's like a dog catcher. Dog catcher, come out, man. No, cops, go away. You can't be trusted.
But seriously, if you're not sure if you were vaccinated against measles, because sometimes medical records get lost, like it's actually terrifying how hard it is to get all my detailed medical records from my entire life because computers weren't really a thing when I was a kid.
I saw some people posting, I don't know how true it is, that like if you got the measles vaccine a long time ago, which I did because I'm old.
Yeah, the vaccine we got is not like 100%.
That we should get another one? And
possibly.
I'm like, really?
I'm looking into that, actually. I'm going to talk to my doctor when I get my physical.
I guess I'll just make a doctor appointment anyway.
Yep.
But it's like, really?
I'm going to ask my doctor if I should get a like measles booster or not.
I don't know if I can find the fucking records of when I had the fucking shot.
Well, I mean,
it was like 1980 something. It's probably on like a piece of paper somewhere. You think my mom has that shit? I don't know. It's probably buried in some drawer that's just like a pile of paper that I'm surprised hasn't spontaneously combusted.
Yeah.
If it's anywhere.
So yeah, if you
I think my pediatrician is like still has my records from 1980 something. Probably went to like one of those, Stone Mountain archiving places or whatever.
One thing you should probably do though is if you know anyone who you know is anti-vaccine, you should
defriend them, never speak to them,
Yep.
other than to tell them get a vaccine or stay the fuck away from me.
you should end any contact with them and tell them why, and then block them.
Or put on protective equipment, hold them, and physically drag them to some place to be vaccinated. Like find a doctor friend or a nurse friend to like smuggle the vaccine out of work, right? And then there's like invite them over to a pizza party, hold them down, inject them, done, good to go.
It is still crazy that there's a lot. Like, it really does appear that it's Russian bots and things like that are really spreading the anti-vax message.
Or just give it to them in their sleep; they won't even know.
Ooh.
They'll continue being anti-vax though.
Yeah. I like the idea of
And then they'll be like, I never had the vaccine, and I didn't get. Maybe that's what you should do. Anyone who's like, who's like, I never had the vaccine and I didn't get sick. Just be like, actually,
Yeah.
even whether it's true or not, tell them, yeah, actually, we held you down and gave it to you.
I like the idea of telling them that actually the vaccine is safe. The problem is the mercury in the vaccine. So if you take a raw piece of potato within 4 hours of the kid getting vaccinated and hold it on the wound for an hour, it'll suck the mercury out. But the vaccination,
Pretty sure it doesn't have mercury in it anymore.
yeah, we're talking to idiots, so we make some stuff up.
Okay.
It does not have mercury.
A
in it.
lie to cure a lie.
Yep.
Such homeopathic remedies.
I mean, how do you fight a forest fire but with another fire? Usually.
Homeopathic water. I'll use 1 drop to put out a giant forest fire.
You hear about
I'll use a match to put out a giant forest
You hear about the guy who died of a homeopathic overdose?
fire. I know.
He forgot to take his medicine.
I know. Okay.
But anyway, it's time for Things of the Day. You may have seen, people posted this in our forum. I saw it all over Twitter. There's this picture of this, like, Porco Rosso tailspin-looking fake-ass aircraft. Like this big bulbous
Looks like
thing.
something that someone made to like hang up in a museum or a
Yep.
fancy art exhibit somewhere.
Like
that
it looks
is
like
not-
something an air pirate would fly in tailspin.
Yeah. A very cartoonish vehicle of the sky.
So I saw a lot of people talking online like, wait, there's no way that's real. What's the deal?
You
Blah, blah,
cannot
blah.
fly this unless you have a scarf that with a long trail,
Yup.
those goggles, and the leather hat.
Yup.
Otherwise, it won't even start. You'll just get in it, nothing will happen. It'll
If
be
you
like,
get a
it'll be
dog-
like, where's your scarf? I ain't starting for you.
This is the kind of plane where instead of having a gun on it, you just pull out your pistol and start shooting out the side.
Also, it won't, you gotta the key is a mustache. You have a big old mustache.
Yup.
You gotta shove it in the ignition and turn.
So what I wanted to link to, my thing of the day is, yes, it's real, and here is video. Well, here is film converted to video from 1933 showing that, yes, it's real, yes, it flies. And if you're curious as to what the deal is with this plane, it was not intended to be a plane to be used. It was basically a prototype to test some ideas about making airplanes.
Right. I mean, I thought that the shape would fly because I remember making paper airplanes in roughly circular shape, right? Tie the wings together at the bottom, and they totally flew. They flew great on some occasions, right? Based on how well you made it.
Yep.
But the original image I saw showed something really fat and I was like, that doesn't look right. But now that I've seen the video here and some other images, I believe, obviously, it's a flying shape. Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to work.
It looks kind of fun to fly. I
Looks
guess.
kind of dangerous to fly.
Yeah. It's not. It can't be any more dangerous than like a BG.
I mean, you know.
So anyway, what do you got?
So here's a technical thing of the day. In fact, it is technical metal. So some don't play it during the show. So somebody took machine learning / neural network whatever stuff, and they trained it to produce audio, right? So it's basically a computer program, and it constantly produces audio at all times, and it sends this audio via RTMP, I presume, to YouTube, where it is streaming this audio 24/7, right?
If
And
you
they
just turn it on and don't really pay attention to it, you'll think, oh, it's just a music channel.
Right. So what they did is they trained it to make audio by feeding it the discography, I presume, of the technical death metal band. Was it Archspire?
Yeah, Archspire.
Archspire,
which I'm not actually familiar with.
I'm not familiar with their Over, but Orvu, whatever, however we're going to pronounce
Ouvre.
that. Ouvre, yeah, Ouvre. But yeah, it basically is producing. If you listen to this, it sounds like kind of messy technical death metal that doesn't stop and never repeats itself and is constantly new and fresh.
Yep.
And if this advances a few more, generations of technology worth, that will be really something, because it asks a lot of fucking questions, like who owns the goddamn rights to this shit?
Yup. Can I make, if I cover this?
Forget your monkey taking a photo intellectual property question. That's old hat compared to this bad boy. I can fit 10 monkeys taking a photo in this.
And like, I put it on last night and just listened to it for a while I was playing Overwatch. It just sounds like, unless I pay attention to it, it just sounds like death metal.
Yeah.
But if I pay attention to it, like you hear the voice, like it's death grunting, but it doesn't make words.
Yeah, and how much is Archspire supposed to get from this?
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here, but also, hey, it's running 24/7 nonstop metal.
I feel like you could have a club that just plays this and make a thing about it.
Yeah, so this is metal, this is intellectual property, and this is computer. This is a great Geek Nights thing of the day.
It's good biz. So in the meta moment, the Geek Nights Book Club book is the most painful book we have ever chosen. It is Troy Denning's branded Planescape novel, Pages of Pain.
There are no sequels or prequels, right? It's
Nope.
Okay.
It starts.
I am 1/3 of the way through this book.
I'm nearly there. I'm catching up pretty quick.
A major turning point in the book.
Is this where they start walling him into the labyrinth?
Yeah, they're running around the labyrinth right now.
Yep. That's the scene.
I don't know how they got in the labyrinth to begin with. That wasn't really clear.
It
but
kind of
they're
got
in
built
it.
around him. I like how this book is like.
I'm like, how fast are these dudes building? This doesn't make any sense. But they're in it now.
One thing I'm realizing reading this with adult eyes, very specifically, is that if you don't already know some shit about the Planescape universe, good fucking luck.
I know what I've been told by these other nerds, and I've learned that everything these nerds have told me, they learned by reading this fucking book.
Yeah.
Everything everyone's ever said to me about Planescape is just in the first 5 pages of this book. And I'm like,
Yep.
you nerds didn't play any fucking Planescape and other shit. You just all read this one book and are telling me what you read.
They read 2 books. They read this book, and there's one Planescape source
I thought
book.
you said there were no sequels or prequels.
Well, no, the other book is
the one that comes in the box?
Is in the box, there's a book that's like, this is the fucking deal with Planescape. It's right over there.
Is
if
it
you want
just
to
say
read
all
it.
the same shit that's in this
Yeah.
book?
It's the thing about Planescape is that the moral of Planescape is that city fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Do not go anywhere near it. It just sucks there.
Okay.
It smells like pee forever.
All right.
So otherwise, our Real Harm of Games panel is on YouTube.
That's good.
Our Rare Game Mechanics panel is on YouTube.
That's good.
Judge Anime is on YouTube.
That's good.
And we're going to be making a bunch more stuff as fast as we can, so stay tuned. We have no Geek Nights obligations until PAX West, so as long as it is not too nice outside, we're going to be making a bunch of content.
Starting next week, it's going to be nice outside.
Yeah, so we got to make a bunch of content like this week. I did
I'm
more.
going to be playing a bunch of auto chess this weekend. A big patch just came out that made
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff happen.
And I may be able to play auto chess because the Overwatch season just ended.
Well, the auto chess season's about to end. You got today to set your rank. Tomorrow is a no rank day where it just doesn't matter. And then on May 1st, the new season will start. And everyone will be like, I guess 0 rank. I don't know how it works.
So I can start from scratch.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to play a lot of auto chess.
Yeah. I started thinking real hard.
I like that gap day because the other... to let you learn the meta or whatever. The other games don't do that. Like Hearthstone is like, okay, reset, go, go, go. It's like,
so
the gap day is
Overwatch
a good idea. It gives everyone a chance to settle and figure out how they want to play without affecting their rank. And
so
fool around.
Overwatch does that. You can always play quick play, which is the same as competitive, just doesn't count for anything.
Yeah, you can do that in Hearthstone too, but it's you're not going to be playing against people who are, right? This makes everyone forced to play, right, in the experiment, no rank mode.
You can play competitive between seasons in Overwatch. It's called the off season. It's competitive rules, competitive matchmaking with your previous rank. It just doesn't count.
Oh.
It's actually pretty cool.
Oh, that's basically what this is.
Yeah.
But,
actually,
okay.
I really like the fact that the off season exists.
Yeah, but there's no off season in Hearthstone, and other games don't have
Yeah.
off season. But basically, there's gonna be a 1-day auto chess off season.
So now that it's sort of an aside, I'll talk about this more next Tuesday, but because we can now script in maps in Overwatch and make like really custom game modes, I started musing on how to make an
You make a GeekNights Overwatch.
An Overwatch auto chess kind of thing. And I actually came up with a pretty good idea. So I got to read the scripting, like the
Just
SDK.
make GeekNights Overwatch instead.
What? It's just me and you? Like, what would GeekNights Overwatch just all our
know.
friends as characters?
I don't know.
It's just skeletons. It's just a map full of skeletons.
Yeah, now we're talking. We're getting there. We're getting there.
I feel like I could make an auto chessy thing, and I figured out like what it would look like. I just have to read the documentation to see if what I want to do is possible and feasible with the scripting. And if it isn't just completely like trivial to do, if I just write the scripts, I ain't doing it.
Oh, you could do it as like a mod for, Source Engine or whatever.
I could.
Or Arma or, all those other engines that allow mods.
Yeah, but I really only want to do it for Overwatch. Otherwise, I don't care that much.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll go back to Grease the Wheels, which needs a second
Just
round
make
of...
Quake 2 mod.
Yeah.
Quake 2 auto chess mod.
Dude, if I'm going to make Quake 2, I'll just make a Doom 2 mod, because that's the only game engine I actually know inside and out.
All right, Doom 2 auto chess. Let's go.
Oh.
I get 3 imps. They become the super imp.
And you just watch them fight. You're like floating above and you just watch them fight. Oh,
Yeah.
We could make that. The Doom engine's not hard to learn.
I got 3 cyber demons, level 2 cyber demons.
Oh, shit. It
He's
just
got 2 rocket hands.
The scripting is shockingly versatile in Doom 2. As long as there's a limited number of action frames you can take advantage of, though.
Anyway.
Anyway.
It's Monday. Let's talk about non-games.
Yes. So, it is Monday, and we're talking about phishing.
Somehow we never did a show about phishing.
I can't believe this.
And my news reminded me about phishing, so now we're going to do a show about phishing.
So, phishing with a PH is an industry term, like a technology term. It's changed a lot over the years because the internet has changed a lot. But the basic idea is that you are trying to trick someone into thinking that they are interacting with a thing, but really it was Dio.
Right.
They're interacting with you.
This doesn't only apply, and most of the time it applies to a fake website or a fake email that looks like it came from a bank or some official place, Google, right, Facebook, or an app that looks like the real app, but it's not. It's another app that just looks like the real app. But it actually applies to a lot of situations where anything is a fake front. For example, I give you a phone call and I say, "This is your so-and-so bank." And it's like, yeah, that's telescamming, whatever, robocalling. But it's also phishing because I am pretending to be some official thing when I'm not, right? I can set up a fucking store. I can set up a bank branch, right? It looks like a real bank branch. I trick you to come in, and you come and you swipe your card in my not official ATM.
Yep.
Right? There's all sorts of things like that. But
it's usually only reserved for trying to get someone to authenticate with or otherwise click on a link.
Right, because that's why it's called phishing, because you're phishing for their information, right? You set up a fake storefront and you're trying to collect somebody's username, password, PIN number, codes, social security numbers. You're trying to collect their most secret personal information. That's what you're phishing for. And when you catch a sucker and get their info, you get their credit card number, you get whatever it is you need, and now you take all their money. Or do whatever.
Go all the way back to in the early days of just
steal their identity.
A Unix machine or a Linux machine. What do you just make a screen that looks like the logon screen?
You make a screen that you make a terminal, a shell that is the bash shell. You take the bash shell source code, right? You modify it to send anything that they type to you.
Yep.
They type in their password eventually. They type SSH eventually. You got them.
So phishing really came to be in a modern sense when email became widespread. Like that is the beginning of modern phishing.
Right, because people were not able, unsavvy people still to this day cannot tell an email, if it looks like an email from their bank, they don't, in order to tell that it's not, you have to look very carefully. You have to look at like the email headers, which are unreadable to most human beings. You have to look at the from address, and the user interfaces on most email clients do not highlight that information widely. The biggest thing is like the subject, right, of the email, and then the contents of the email far outweigh the from area.
Yeah.
Right? So unless you look closely, you can easily be fooled, and before spam filters are any good, you actually saw those emails in your inbox.
Like a lot. It was kind of a thing. Like I remember the first time I got one. Like I remember being like, wow, someone's trying to trick me. That's funny. I wonder if anyone else has thought of doing this before.
And it's super widespread. People are trying to do this constantly. And it works because they send so many of them that even if they're all blocked, like they're all blocked across all Gmail, blocked across, all right? It's like someone who's like at cablecompany.com using that email somewhere gets hit by it, or it just sneaks through a spam filter once, some sucker, right? You hit 1 or 2, and it's like it costs you basically nothing to cast all those fishing lines out in the sea. If you catch any fish, it's like, all right, that's thousands of dollars I just got from their credit card.
Now, there's 2 main kinds of phishing, and it is worth bringing up. Regular old phishing is like what Scott just described, but most security professionals will refer to another kind called spear phishing, which is you are targeting an individual.
Right. I know this person. I know their bank. I know that they've recently done a thing. There's something I know about them that I probably got from publicly available or easily available information.
Yep.
Or maybe I'm their friend and I'm evil. I'm not their friend. I'm their
well, here's the modern
but
thing.
I know them.
Because I don't want to get too much into the history of like how this used to be done, because none of that stuff matters anymore.
No.
But typically, someone will go and buy, like, there'll be some storefront, not Amazon, but like a 2nd or 3rd tier storefront that's legitimate but has poor security, and they get hacked. Someone will buy that information on the dark web, and then they'll look through that information, find profiles of individual people who they know bought something from this 3rd tier storefront, and will try to use that information to target that individual to have a higher rate of success in stealing their credit card or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if I buy something from GeekNightsStore.com, and then I get an email like, hey, this is GeekNightsStore.com. We had a security problem. Everyone's got to reset your password. Come and type your password in.
Yep. And in fact, that's one of the most common techniques. This really is just like crafted social engineering. You tell someone, yo, your security is compromised. Do this to fix it. Not realizing that the initial statement you gave them was in fact Dio.
It's a specific subset of the social engineering.
Yep.
Where you do you socially engineer via providing a fake front and then get someone to input their information that is real into your fake front and then saving it.
Yep. So there's a lot of baby's first ways that this happens that unless you're really unsavvy, you shouldn't be able to fall for. Like, the link is clearly just like not your bank's website.
Right. A lot of times it'll be like www.chase.something that's not chase.com. And it's like, yeah, I see the green lock there, but it's not chase.com. It's something else not chase.com.
Yep.
You got to look at whatever's closest to the com is what counts, right? It might be like, www.chase. That doesn't matter. I could make a www.chase.frontrowcrew.com if I wanted to, right? It's got to be the last one before the .com. That's the one.
So in the old days, it used to be pretty easy to spot these just because the emails themselves look dodgy as shit. But modern technology has come a long way, and people will literally just like apply the exact same style that a legitimate email has from that bank. Like they will look 100% right. The URLs even look right when you hover over them.
Or they'll use, a lot of times you'll see URL shorteners. URL shorteners are a big problem because oftentimes they are used legitimately, right? Or even if they're not shorteners, various redirects will be used legitimately, often for advertising purposes, right?
Yeah.
Like on Google, you click on an ad, you're actually getting the link for that ad. It looks like you're going to say, let's say we've got a GeekNights ad. It looks like it's going to frontrowcrew.com. It's an ad for Front Row Crew that's purchased on Google. If you actually look closely at the link, it goes to Google ad something, and then that's going to redirect you to Front Row Crew after tracking all your ad biz, right? So, of course, in some emails, a lot of emails that people send from legitimate places, they send out their email newsletter from their company to their customers. They fill that email up with all these redirecting ad links so that they can track people who are clicking on the newsletters so that they can, get stats on their newsletter, design their newsletters better, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so now you're used to having these redirects and URL shortened links in your newsletter. So then someone sends out a fake one, and you look at all the links, and none of them make any sense. And it's like, okay, obviously these aren't going to be at the actual place.com because, they're all ad links, but then you click one and now it redirects you to shadysite.com.
Now,
but you couldn't tell when you clicked on it because it was a shortener or redirector.
With this escalation of like increasingly advanced phishing techniques and like the news we just talked about with the Inception Bar, there's really only one real defense against this. Like
being smart.
Yep. Well, being smart, being knowledgeable, and if you're not that smart or not that knowledgeable, there's a simple set of rules you can follow. Rule number 1, never ever click on a link you received in an email, even if the email appears legitimate. Mm-hmm. If your bank emails you saying, hey, there's a thing, like whatever it might be.
I do this even myself.
I see that email, and I don't care if it's a real email or not. It made it through my spam filter, so it may well be legit. Mm-hmm. I then type mybank.com into a browser and go to it independently. Yep. And if I don't see the information in my account that the email purported should be there, I know it was fake.
Yeah. Whenever I get an email from some site where I have like an email, like say from Steam.
Yep.
It's like, hey, you gotta, check out some Steam thing.
I go log into Steam.
I go to Steam.com. I just open my browser and go to Steam to see if I can corroborate what the email says. And if I can't, whether I can or can't, I delete the email.
It's similar to if your bank ever calls you saying anything, you should tell them that you're going to hang up and you're going to call them back at the number actually printed on your card.
Yep.
And be like, yeah, I'm going to call you back. That's like, following these 2 rules basically makes you immune to phishing. Mm-hmm. It is very hard to get tricked if you follow those 2 very simple rules.
Yep. If you want to technologically avoid phishing, right? One way to do it is like I was just talking about those redirects and URL shorteners, right? Adblock, of course, is really good at helping you avoid a lot of phishing things because a lot of phishing stuff, right, is hosted in shady parts of the web. A lot of those redirectors, which are used for ad tracking, are used for phishing, right? And Adblock, for example, like my Pi-hole, like DNS Adblock thing, or actual Adblock, will often they're geared mostly towards ads, but they will often block a lot of shady phishing things and not legit things. So there have been often times where, something shady comes up and I notice that it's shady even faster than usual because half of it is blocked and the links don't work. And it's like, oh, my ad block is blocking all of this thing. Oh, because it's a bunch of bullshit. That's why.
Yep.
So but block all ads everywhere always.
It does really sadden me how effective phishing is, considering how desperately easy it is to avoid being caught by it. Like, even my company, they send us...
Like I said, it's a game of numbers, right? If you cast enough lines, you still catch people.
Yep.
You send enough... It's the same thing why spam is such a big deal, even still today. You try to sell Viagra to enough people, someone will buy.
Yep, someone's clicking on that link.
There's still someone out there.
Mostly what I'm amazed by is that there was ever a time where if you clicked on that Viagra email, someone actually sent you Viagra. I always assumed...
at least once there was. But
I assumed that if you tried to buy Viagra, you would in fact just get your credit card overdrawn.
Well, I mean, all those Nigerian scams, there was someone on the other end. They just weren't someone with a pile of gold that needed help.
Yeah.
They were just someone who needed help.
But what's also interesting about this kind of phishing is that they really have to trick you. You say you click on a link because you're dumb. Even then, they still have to make the website look legit enough for you to type your credentials in. And the other way to protect yourself is to enable 2-factor authentication for everything.
Yep.
Because even if you try to log into one of these phishing sites and you type your real password, it won't be able to do the 2-factor TOTP.
However, there have been some more developments along this way.
Yep. Well, there's an OAuth vulnerability, isn't there?
Yeah, but what people do is they'll just phish the 2-factor part also. Right?
Yep.
You log in, then they take that and they immediately use it to log in while you're waiting for the fake login to happen. The computer that's evil is immediately using your username and password to try to see if it's real. It's like in the background of some server somewhere is now trying to log into your bank account with the username and password you just gave.
It waits for the prompt for the TOTP,
right, so
and then it prompts you.
You're sitting there waiting, and it notices, wait, this person's got 2-factor. It comes back to you and is like, hey, can we have a 2-factor? And then if you type it in, then they'll immediately log into your bank account and then change your password, then they got you, right?
Yep. But that is that is more sophisticated than a typical phishing
That
attack.
is a very sophisticated one, but they do exist. I've seen people. I haven't seen them necessarily in the wild, but I've definitely seen proofs of concept and such.
Yep, most of the proofs of concepts I've seen involve SMS because it's just way easier to mess with SMS.
I've seen similar stuff used for CAPTCHAs where it'll try to log in, and because it's a bot, the CAPTCHA comes up, and it'll send the CAPTCHA to the person who's being phished to get it to solve the CAPTCHA for them, and then it will send the CAPTCHA solution, and now it's logged in even though it's a bot.
Yep. So I don't know what else there is to really say. Phishing
Well,
is...
I think it's strange that despite, you think internet savvy people, right, would know about phishing already, but actually this is the thing that comes up, not at every job I've had. This comes up often. Like the IT people are emailing pretty constantly, like saying, hey, we noticed a phishing thing. Don't click on this thing, everybody. We've seen an email that looks like this. Don't click on it. Like constantly, like once every couple weeks.
Well, see, I work for a much more sophisticated and larger organization that has much more, like, security is a big deal. So we pretty much regularly, we get a lot of emails that are fake phishing attempts, and from the company, like they have this whole system.
So your company is sending fake phishing attempts to its own employees.
Yep, and if you click on one, you're in a lot of trouble.
But I mean, the fact that it gets through the spam filter.
Well,
is
no,
already...
it bypasses the spam filter because it's coming from inside the house on purpose.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is that it becomes sort of now like a standout in my inbox. Like, what the fuck is this weird thing in my inbox?
Yeah, but at the same time,
it's the only one that gets through.
I would argue that savvy people, what the fuck is this thing in my inbox is how I regard almost any email I get. I don't trust email.
But the fact that it came through, and it would need to have like lots of company, right? Like if I didn't have a spam filter, then it would sort of come in and sort of look like everything else in my inbox and blend in with the crowd. If it comes in when I have a spam filter blocking all the other real phishing, then it now is like a black sheep in a pile of white sheep. It's like, what the fuck is that?
Yep, but I guess
it needs to be a white sheep to sneak past.
But the thing is, it's not trying to sneak past because the filters are already really effective, so stuff really doesn't make it through anyway. It's more just to like make people who aren't that good at this afraid of emails. Which honestly, if someone can't figure this out on their own, the only alternative is to make them afraid of clicking on links in emails.
That's good.
Like they have to actually be afraid of it, and then they won't click on them, and then they'll accidentally follow the rules we just provided. I think spear phishing is the real like upcoming frontier because I
make a fake house that looks like your house where you live, and you put your key in the door, and now I copy the key and go open the door to your real house that I moved to another county and then steal all your stuff.
Thing is, you don't need to do that because one, if I get even like one,
yeah, because if I can pick up your house, I can smash the door down.
Well, if I get one photo of your key, I can make your key, or
don't let anyone see your keys. By the way,
yeah, like don't hold your keys up in front of cameras.
Nope.
But two. Even without that bump key, it's like people don't really realize how easy it is to pick a lock.
I'm just trying to say.
I'm just saying, I could teach you, Scott, in about 10 minutes.
I could learn from YouTube if I cared. It's a hobby of nerds that that's not mine.
Yeah. Thing is, don't learn how to really pick a lock. Just use a bump key. Just bump, it just opens. Like you don't have to do anything.
Some of them, not all of them.
Most locks. Most locks on doors, you could bump key open pretty easy.
Maybe.
But yeah, phishing, I think it's growing to the point that I think the reason I say spear phishing is actually a danger is that increasingly the sources of spear phishing attempts seem to be state-sponsored actors, like targeting journalists, targeting researchers, targeting government officials. That is literally what happened in America with the 2016 election.
There is one other thing to discuss, right? You know how whenever you're in your browser and something's going to go full screen, like you're going to make a full screen video, it's like, hey, do you want to give this permission to go full screen? It's always asking for permission for things to go full screen. And like in Windows, it's like when the screen is locked, it makes you press Control-Alt-Delete to like get past, right? And make the login screen come up, right? It's like, why? The reason it's doing all these things is to prevent full screen phishing, because if you have an application that is allowed full screen access to draw to all the pixels on the screen, I could just redraw all of Windows. I could redraw your entire desktop, and I could have some app And you think you're just using your computer, but actually, my app is full screen on top of all your other apps, eating all your keyboard commands, right? Not letting you actually get to your real apps behind me, just pretending to be your real apps behind me, and capturing everything you type in. You're typing into my evil app that is full screen. Full screen is real dangerous. And that is why your computer always asks for permission to let things go full screen. And you should think more about what you let go full screen. If you let websites go full screen that shouldn't be, you could be in a world of hurt. And the reason Windows makes you press Control-Delete to get the login screen to show up is because if there was some sort of fake login screen, right, that was actually...
remember the thing I said in the very beginning, the first phishing, arguably?
Right. If there was a fake login screen and you pressed Control-Delete, on Windows, that makes, the things happen of when you press Control-Delete, right? And that would get you around and make you suddenly realize, hey, wait a minute, there's an app running that looks like a login screen that happened to be full screen. What's up with that? Whereas because Control-Delete always gets sent to Windows around any kind of app, even if it's full screen.
But seriously, I cannot stress this enough. All you need to do to never be caught by phishing is to never click on a link that gets sent to you by anyone, even if you think that is a legitimate source.
Mm-hmm.
And if you click on one of those links, like, let's forget, we're not talking about malware deployments or malware payloads. We're just talking about phishing. So if you click on something and it takes you to a login screen, don't log into that. Like, type in the URL.
Yeah, unlike
unlike
a malware, right, which will only hurt you. Like, you could click on a file and get hurt, right?
Yep.
It's like you're not going to get hurt by phishing unless you type in your real infos. Like, you can go to the phishing site and look around. As long as you don't type in your social security number, it's not going to hurt you.
Granted, the phishing site may itself have malware payloads.
Who knows what else it's doing?
Yeah, don't go to those sites.
Right. I mean, unless you got a secure sandbox virtual machine or a spare computer with nothing on it, or, something like that. But just don't type anything in. That's the real killer.
All right. I think we're done.